Hi class, this is William and Nicholas Hanna, and here's our presentation on protectionism. So what is protectionism? Protectionism is an economic policy of restricting trade with other countries through various methods in an attempt to bolster domestic sales. The idea is that foreign competition is bad for domestic businesses, and that by restricting trade in some ways from these competitors, jobs and businesses will be saved domestically. Next, we got protectionist policies, and some examples are tariffs, which are taxes on imports, sometimes imposed after anti-dumping legislation has been enacted. Anti-dumping laws seek to restrict the imports of goods that are sold cheaper by foreign companies than domestic companies, which might otherwise force a domestic company to close down. Next, we got quotas, which are limited quantities of a certain product allowed to be imported. And then we got direct subsidies, which are government programs that pay domestic companies in a loan or lump sum to bolster the companies against foreign competition. And then next, we got export subsidies, which are government when they pay a company for their exports in order to increase trades.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about protectionism in today's world. So recently, Donald Trump garnered a lot of support in the recent 2016 campaign by promoting these protectionist policies, such as, well, especially and most famously, backing out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was a topic of hot debate during the 2016 debates. And so he actually did act on that, and that was his first protectionist move for him, which he believes will help protect American businesses against what he sees as unfair trade deals. And now he's also considering imposing tariffs on goods such as solar panels and washing machines in order to protect American businesses from foreign competition. And also he's considering, it's possible that if these tariffs do get imposed, he will impose tariffs on things also such as cars that are made in Mexico or Japan or China as well. So also other countries do have protectionist policies, not just the United States, such as other G20 countries, maybe like China or Russia. And a lot of economists, and other people in the business consider these protectionist policies to be a scourge or scourge, or not good for the economy or the economies of other countries, and I'll explain in the next slide why that is. So when one country decides to impose a tariff on the goods of another, usually that's not beneficial for that country's industries, and so because of that, they'll retaliate by enacting their own tariffs. And so what that does is it drives up the price of products domestically for the consumer. So the idea behind a tariff is that it looks good at first that you'll impose a tax on another country's goods, and by doing so, domestic goods will then be cheaper and people will buy those domestic goods. However, that's not exactly how it works. So using the graph here on the right, this is just basic supply and demand economics. So as the quantity demanded is higher, quantity demanded is lower, price will be higher, and quantity demanded is higher, price will be demanded to be lower. But if a tariff is enacted, what happens is that the quantity demanded will increase, but also at the same time, since the supply is in higher demand, the price will naturally increase as well. So what you'll have here is sort of just a general rise in prices for the goods, both domestically and for foreign products as well. And then that'll lead to a decrease in demand for the product, which ends up hurting both foreign and domestic companies as well as the consumer. So even though at a glance maybe a tariff seems like a good idea, it generally isn't. The only time that it really would be a good idea is if a country's suffering from deflated prices and they want to raise prices on purpose, then it would be a good idea. But otherwise, it's probably not the best. So in conclusion, protectionism is just the attempt to save domestic companies and jobs by creating things such as tariffs, or possibly helping to bolster domestic companies against competition through subsidies, as we talked about. And while someone might think that this is a good idea initially, when you just look at the basic economics behind how a tariff will affect supply and demand, it becomes more obvious that it's both bad for business and for consumers as well. These are our sources, and thank you for listening.